start off with the question from Dundas. I'll go to Dundas. So the campers in Dundas, what is your question for Dr. Sanders?
All right, Abby has a question.
So we know that light projects color. So why when we're in a dark room and there's no light, we can still see the color of the person's eyes?
So the answer is that it's very hard to ever on the Earth, on the surface of the Earth, very hard to get away from all light whatsoever. So what happens is when you go in a dark room, it's probably not empty of all light. It's got a little bit of light, and then you know how it can take you time to adapt. So over some time, you get more and more sensitive and you see more things in a dark room, but the eyes are reflecting, so they're one of the first things you see. You'd probably see the teeth too.
That's a good question to start off with. Thank you, Dundas. Before I go to more questions, Dr. Sanders, can you tell us a bit more about yourself and what you do at the University of Calgary?
Sure. I'm a professor in physics at the University of Calgary. Physics is about studying nature, what it's made of, and how it works. My area of interest is called quantum information science. And this is a mix of physics and computer science. So right now, the way that computers work and communication is that information is converted into zeros and ones and manipulated and transmitted. And I'm interested in changing the way that all this... Are you still there?
Yeah, I am. I think everyone else is too.
Okay, I heard a funny noise. So I'm interested in the way, in ways to use physics to move away from zeros and ones and instead to some simultaneous coexistence of all kinds of information. And if we can do that, if we can build a new kind of information technology from quantum principles, then we could have computers that easily solve problems that are now hard, and secure communication which can't be broken by attacks based on listening in and using computers to break them. And my work relates to light because we use light to manipulate and send information. Even today, when you listen to the radio or you watch TV, typically if that signal goes through the air, it's sent by radio waves, and radio waves are a kind of light. So I'm interested in how to use light for information technology.
Wow, that is a really cool idea. I would never thought of light as a medium for information. That's really interesting. I guess now that we know a little bit more about your research, we can start with the question session. So I'll go to New Hamburg for the next question. New Hamburg, do you have a question about light and color?
I think we're Hello?
Hi.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hi. I can hear you.
Okay. Ask your question, Oliver. How long is a rainbow?
How long is a rainbow? Rainbows are funny things, aren't they? Because when you see the rainbow, have you ever tried to move towards a rainbow? Tried to catch up to it?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
And did you ever catch it? Did you ever get close enough to touch it?
No.
No. So the rainbow is actually not really there. It's not an object in the sky. What's happening is the light from the sun hits the water in the air, and then it bends and comes to your eye. So when it bends and comes to your eye, its colors spread out. So the light from the sun looks like one color, but when it becomes a rainbow, it spreads into different colors. And so if the rainbow is not really there, it really doesn't have a length either. But it looks like it goes from the earth up to the sky and back down to the earth. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
So you could think that the rainbow looks like it's about as big as, say, an airplane flies. And an airplane flies around, what would it be, 30,000 feet, 6 kilometers? So let's say 12 kilometers. But on the other hand, have you been to Niagara Falls?
Yep. Yep.
Have you seen the rainbow in the falls?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, some of you have. So the rainbow in the falls, that's about as big as the waterfall. So the rainbow looks as big as the object you're looking at. If you look at the sky, the rainbow looks as big as the sky. If you look at a waterfall, the rainbow looks as big as a waterfall.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you.
All right. How about Sudbury? Was there a question in Sudbury for Dr. Sanders?
Make colorful. How do you make? Excuse me.
Hi.
How do you make your own rainbow in a jar?
So I couldn't hear the question. Say it again.
You make your own rainbow in a jar.
Are you asking if you can make your rainbow in a jar, or have you done it?
Said, can you?
You've done it. Have you made your own rainbow in a jar?
Said, can you?
Oh, can you? Okay, that's an interesting question. So I haven't done it. And what am I looking at? So I haven't made a rainbow in a jar, and until I do it, I don't know that I can. You know, this is the way science works. You do it, and then only when it works do you say it can be done. But the way that a rainbow works is the light from the sun comes in, and there's an angle. So the light comes in, hits the moisture, and reflects. So if you could get a jar that's very clear, and you have the moisture at the right amount of moisture, not too thick, not too thin, and you had a light source, and you shine the light on the jar and move your eye to the right place, then I think you should be able to see it. It's worth trying. It's a good idea.
Okay. That might be one of the activities today, I think. A rainbow in a glass, which sounds like a really fun challenge. How about, let's go to Ingersoll. What's Ingersoll's question for Dr. Sanders today?
Why isn't black and white a color?
What is black and white in color, you said?
Why isn't black and white a color?
Oh, why isn't black and white a color? Okay. So first of all, black signifies no light at all. So black is a complete lack of color. It's what you have if you remove all the light, it becomes dark. And white is what you get if you mix all colors together. So in a technical sense, light oscillates, and the speed of its oscillation tells us the color. And then you can mix two colors. Do you know that if you mix blue and yellow, you get green, for example? So some things we call color. So the primary colors are given by their oscillation. And then we can get some other colors that we get by mixing them. And then if we mix every color together, we get white. So if some colors like green are mixes of other colors, then of course we could call white a color, but it doesn't have much meaning since it's every color altogether.
That's interesting. White is so colorful that we don't see any colors. That's a cool fact. How about Brantford now? Is Brantford still with us? They might have dropped off. I'll go to Waterdown. Was there a question in Waterdown for Dr. Sanders?
Yes, there is.
Awesome.
Why can cats see better than us in the dark?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
Why can cats see better than us in the dark?
Oh, why can cats see better now? So eyes are very, very complicated. And some animals can see better than others. So cats have eyes that are adapted for seeing in the dark. But let me point this out. So our eyes behave differently in the light and the dark. You know, you have the iris. Your iris is the colored part of your eye, and there's a pupil, which is the black dot in the middle. And then, depending on whether you're in the light or dark, the iris changes size, so the pupil itself changes size. So if you want to see, when you're in a bright light, your pupil is very small. When you're in the dark, your pupil gets bigger. When the pupil gets bigger, it's like a window that lets in more light. But there's even more that go on. In the back of the eye, there are chemicals. I think rhodopsin. So when you go into a dark room, you turn off the lights, it's hard to see, but after about 15 minutes, you can start seeing a lot of things. The chemicals in the eye also change so that it increases or decreases how sensitive your eye is to the light. So our own human eyes are able to adapt mechanically through the pupil, chemically through the response at the back of the eye, the retina. So we're able to adapt to see in the dark. Now, think about a cat where it doesn't work at night. So the cat would then have a different chemical balance. And the cat also has a different shaped eye. You know how cat eyes look? Cat eyes don't look like human eyes. So their eye function, the pupil and the chemicals are different so that they want their eyes to work better in the dark. But we humans like to do our work in the daylight. You know, we're more daylight animals. So cats' eyes function differently because their need for using the eyes is different.
That's a good question. Let's go to Tilsonburg. A question for Dr. Sanders from Tilsonburg.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. Hi. Why can a prism diffract light no other shape can?
Oh, so you're saying why does a prism diffract light and no other shape can? So
Right.
the way that we think of a prism is it's a pyramid-shaped piece of glass, and the prism is the glass itself. It's not the shape. It's the glass that bends the light. We talked a little bit earlier about the rainbow. The rainbow, with water in the air, is doing the same job as the prism. It's also diffracting the light. So light is diffracted by not just by glass. In fact, the diffraction of light occurs to more or less degrees by the medium, water, air, glass. The shape of the prism is only a convenience. It's only in that shape because we can hold it up. And then if we have a wide beam of light, so we want a front that is flat. And then if the prism receives the light that's flat, then you get a nice, clean output that looks rainbow-like. But the answer is light diffracts even if you don't use glass, and light diffracts from glass even if it's not shaped by a prism.
Okay, we might be next.
Was that Paris? Is there a question in Paris?
Yep, Sam has a question.
Great.
Why when there's different shapes, types of glass, why does the sun like reflect off and it makes like rainbows like inside. So I have a door that has a different shape of glass, and whenever the sun points, like looks, whenever the sun like it reflects off the sun and goes inside the house, it makes little tiny rainbows all over the place. And then when you cover all the rainbows disappear.
So I had trouble hearing parts of the question. I think what you're saying is you have a door with glass on the door. The light, when it reflects off the glass on the door, shows different colors. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you said when you cover it, and I didn't understand what you meant by covering the glass.
When you cover glass like with something and all the rainbows disappear. Like you can't see them. Why is that?
I can't make out.
Like when you cover it with something, all the rainbows disappear. But like, why does that happen?
You're kind of breaking up.
When I was referring to the other question, and I said the nice thing about the prism is that it's flat on the surface. So if it's flat on the surface, then the incoming light doesn't get distorted. The glass on your door is probably not flat. And so what happens is like a lot of tiny little flat regions not behaving like a prism at another angle. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Quite
I'm
broken
hearing a
up
lot of
for
noise.
me. Paris, were you able to understand? Can you hear Dr. Sanders?
Can you hear me?
You say Goddard?
I was just wondering if Paris was able to hear the answer. Okay. Well, Goddard, did you have a question?
Yes, we have a question.
Great.
Why are people colorblind?
So the question is why
Can you say the question louder? I think you said why are people colorblind. Is that right?
Yes, why are people colorblind and what does it mean to be colorblind?
Okay. Now different receptors, ways to pick up the light. They're kind of like tiny antennas. They're called rods and cones. And so one kind of receptor picks up light but doesn't care what color it is. It's all color. And then you have three kinds of receptors that pick up the three primary colors. Okay. And then colorblind people, one of their color receptors doesn't work, or it could be more than one. But the usual kind of colorblindness, I think it's red-green colorblind. So or red-blue, I should say, red-blue colorblind is that one of the three kinds of color receptors that picks up one primary color doesn't work. So people who are colorblind of that type another receptor will pick up the light instead, but the brain doesn't know which of the two colors it's looking at. So color blindness comes because one kind of receptor is not working.
Okay. So we're coming to an end for our time, but I just wanted to go back and see if Brantford was still with us and if there was from Brantford. Maybe not. Dr. Sanders, did you have any questions for the campers?
No, I just want to comment that these are really good questions, and I'm very happy to hear the kind of questions that make me struggle to try to give a good answer.
Yeah, I've learned a lot personally. Good questions, campers. Thank you. So because the quality is sort of dropping, I think that we'll leave it at that for now. Thanks again, Dr. Sanders, for taking the time to talk to us today. And so to the camps, if you want to unmute yourselves, we can all thank Dr. Sanders together before we say goodbye. Think about it.
Bye.
All right. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks again. Have a great day.